What's going on, guys? My name is Joe Graves, and this is Mastering Business Growth. Running a business can either be amazing or an absolute nightmare. So on this show, I speak with people who are killing it in business, and I find out what it really takes to succeed. If you think you'd be a good guest, then drop me an email at joe@innersound.media. Enjoy the episode. This is it. I don't suppose there's really a start. I mean, this could be it. So obviously the point is, I'm trying to master business growth. And by that, I'm speaking to people who have a fucking clue, you know what I mean? So like yourself, I've seen you're absolutely killing it. So can you please tell everyone that's listening, who are you? What do you do? Why should we listen to you?
Well, I'm Lewis. I run Lightbulb Media. That's a creative and performance agency based in Manchester. So we basically help brands scale online through social media, paid advertising and content. And I've also just launched a edutainment platform called the University of Creative Idiots, where we teach people how to do effective marketing in 2024, because what most people learn in, traditional courses at uni is pretty much out of date, and it moves so fast. So why should people listen to me? Well, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, because I'm winging it just as much as everyone else is, to be honest with you, and anyone else that tells you that they are not.
I like that. Me and Sam talk about that all the time.
Yeah. I don't trust anybody that says, this is all part of the master plan. It's not. It's, let's try this. Did it go well? Let's do that again. And that's what I've been doing consistently for like the last 6 years. So yeah, hopefully you can learn from some of the many and varied mistakes I've made, so that you don't make them yourself and save yourself a few quid.
I love it. So what's the evolution of that? How did you get here?
So I started like everyone else did, I think, in the rite of passage of like hospitality, which I lasted an hour in.
Literally 1 hour?
Yeah, 1 hour, yeah. Someone clicked at me. And that's for like the clean spoon for like the third time. And I thought, I don't want to do this. So I walked out of there. And then the next one was the standard field sales executive, which is code for door knocking. That's weird. That's weird. Anyone who's ever done it will tell you it's weird. I think everyone should have to do it as a rite of passage, because it does, getting told no and go away and chased by dogs and fuck off like 99 times a day builds a little bit of resilience in you. But it's when people come in the mornings and they're all like huddled around watching motivational speeches, like chanting like win, win, win. I'm just looking around thinking, are you fucking all right? Like, this isn't for me. And then, I suggested that, because we were doing energy switching at the time, I think it was one of them. And I said, well, surely people are coming out of contracts and there's data on this. Why don't we just figure out who that is and then go to their houses because they're ready to switch? That's not a winner's mentality. Got sacked.
I noticed you refer to yourselves as the no bullshit agency. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so when I was working for other agencies and things like that and for other people, I was usually sat in a room and we'd be sat opposite somebody who very clearly didn't know what they were saying, but had very strong views on what they wanted to happen with marketing and how marketing worked. And because it wasn't my business, we have to just sit and smile and nod. And then I would get out of there and say to my boss at the time, that's not how it works and this is how it needs to work, or this, what they've just suggested isn't. Yeah, we'll just figure it out. We'll figure it out. And then because we didn't have those honest conversations, what happened, it didn't work. And then suddenly they turn around and go, didn't work, that's your fault. Well, no, you made us do that thing. I told you it wouldn't work. And I realized when I looked around, particularly in marketing, when you ask people about marketing agencies and stuff, they say, look, they charge too much, they tie you in for too long, and they don't deliver what they promise. So I just wanted to kind of flip it on its head and have the honest conversation first before a penny's handed over and go, you're not even ready for this yet. Good advertising and marketing amplifies what already exists. And if you've got a shit business, you don't know your numbers, your website's terrible, like it'll just make you fail faster. So we thought, let's come in and have the honest conversation with people, deliver the facts and base it off data, take all the personal opinion out of it. Some people don't like that and some people do. And then the ones that do like that have all gone on to scale great businesses, and the ones where the founder can't get out of their own way haven't. And they've been treading water for 5-10 years, wondering what's going wrong and blaming marketing and saying it doesn't work.
It sounds like our beliefs and values align there, because I don't believe in bullshit kind of, gimmicks and whatnot. I've seen with my own eyes what's worked for us. Every job we've ever got was from, we met someone that led to a referral or some opportunities, direct business, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some of the people that I know that have made the most money ever, a lot of them don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
They don't know anything. They've met a lot of the right people, or they've got one kind of simple lead generation formula and they just mastered it, and it's bulletproof, and they're not trying a bit of this, that, everything.
Yeah.
So you must cause a bit of a stir up actually in that world where people are trying to tell everyone, no, it's more complicated than that.
Well, everyone likes it, yeah, because they want to be able to charge the premium and the schmooze and stuff like that. And when we get people coming in and I find out how much like these bigger agencies, you know, your big boys have been charging them like 15, 20 grand a month and you need extra for this and that. And I'm like, fucking hell, and then we come in and literally, you know, drop the CPA by 60% and triple their leads and we're charging half as much. It's a bit of an eye-opener because, again, they all move in certain circles and then suddenly when you give someone a chance, we smash it out of the park and they go, I can't believe, you know, I just went with them because my mate told me to do it, or we've always been working with them, or they know the boss's stepson or something like that. So it does take a little bit to break that mold. But I would prefer to cause a stir because I think the worst reaction someone can have to you or your business is indifference. And let's not beat around the bush here. Marketing agencies, throw a stone in any direction, you're going to hit 20. There's got to be some way you can stand out. Everyone say, I'm customer focused, I'm results driven. Yeah, that's a fucking basic requirement, mate.
Yeah, I fucking hope so.
So what else is the approach? You know, there's plenty of good people out there that are credible and competent at their job. But where a lot of people fall down is they're not very good at getting attention. They're not good at getting eyeballs on them, leveraging it, and then turning it into actual revenue and leads and things like that at the bottom end. So it's something where I feel that we're quite good at, and you know we've been a fully inbound. Every single lead's been inbound for like the last 6 years, so it's been, thank God, it's saved me lots of money on advertising costs. And
I love that. That must piss people off though, because you'll see a lot of marketeers or agencies, people from the agencies. What they do is they try and implant fear or anxiety in people, like, oh no, they're doing it wrong. And it's like, it was the same thing I was telling you earlier, we used to record music. And it was the same thing that the absolute standard kind of thing other producers would do, because as it got more diluted and people were losing work, and it was like, they'd just be like, oh, that guy sucks. And then the clients would just believe them, obviously in more detail than that. It's like, no, that's not true. After a certain level, it's about preference sort of thing. You know, all these producers are great. It's just, what do you like? So, but everyone would do it, and it was like, it's not even like, it's obvious what you're doing. So, and I've seen a lot of marketeers, they do that kind of thing. So I imagine your kind of no bullshit, simplistic approach does kind of cause a stir. Do you get many people going, no, this guy doesn't know what he's doing? Oh
yeah, everyone says that at the start. Like, you hear rumours on the grapevine at the start, like, oh, you'll never get big clients doing that, and you know, people won't take you seriously, etc., etc. You're never going to get leads from writing online. And then obviously for the first 5-6 months, nobody pays attention because you can't build a brand overnight. You've got to stick around. There's so many shooting stars that come, burn bright, and then leave. But then you stick around, it starts working, and then you start taking clients off the big boys, and then you start posting about all these sick results that you're getting, and then all these household names start coming to you, and then you're going, yeah, I fucking told you so. And then suddenly these people who are all fighting for these crumbs over here start going, oh, well, maybe we will try this now. And actually, yeah, fine, try it, but be prepared to eat shit for the first 6 months, because nothing's going to happen then. And everyone says they want to do it, and everyone likes the view from the top of the mountain, but nobody likes climbing. So nobody wants to sacrifice. Everything's a 7-minute abs and a 24-hour cut and stuff like that. It's the Amazon fucking generation now. So if you're willing to put your head down and eat shit for 6, 9, 12 months, you can get there too. That's where all the gold is, after that hockey stick at the end of it. But nobody has that consistency and that commitment and the ability to delay that gratification anymore, I don't believe.
Do you know, I explained the structure of this earlier. I want to talk about lead generation as a broad topic, or just, generating business, finding work to do in a broad sense where it applies to most companies. And then I want to talk about operations. Yeah. But before that, there was something very specific you wanted to talk about, and this links into what you just said, and it's resilience in young people. Yeah. Can you please tell me a bit more about why that's so important? Yeah, I think it's,
you are going to, the world's not kind. Do you know what I mean? And I think the sooner you realize that, I don't know, maybe it's where I kind of grew up, and like you say, you took a few digs now and again, and it was a bit rough and tumble, but that's how you figured out, what to do. Oh, do I put my hand in the fire? That burnt me. I won't do that again. You've got to understand that you are gonna go through shit, no matter where you live or what industry you're in, particularly in the business world. And I think now there's kind of this protective bubble where victimhood is kind of celebrated and lauded.
Oh man, I can't stand it.
Yeah, you're
it's not real.
You're so brave and such a hero. And I understand, because if people have always felt a little bit isolated, and then suddenly they see people being lauded as so brave for putting their stake in the ground and saying, I don't conform to capitalism, but also the world should wrap around me and do this for me and do this for me. If you've got such a great idea about how a business should be run, go and run one. And you'll notice they never do.
Well, I heard this concept, and I can't remember where, but it's like, people will say what they want online, but the silent votes are what really count. What's the market doing? What's money going into? People might say, I wouldn't pay for that. But it's like, well, look at Apple stocks, I think that's a lie,
I think people are kind of blinded by the vocal minority. And I think it's come from like therapy speak being weaponized now. Like people are saying, oh my God, well, I had this job and my boss made me, do a thing that was hard and now I've got PTSD from that. No, you haven't. People that went to war have got PTSD. Yes. You being told no or do a thing or, work an extra hour is not going to give you PTSD. You are a middle class white person from Kent. Like you haven't really experienced a trauma. So please stop saying, oh, I'm traumatized by this job and that job. And I just think it's those people like, it's the fat lad that sits on the couch and goes, fucking Ronaldo. You just stick it in the top bin, wouldn't you? Get your boots on then, fatty. Like, do you know what I mean? It's easy to shout like that from the sidelines, but then you tell these people, you say, okay, you know what, you're right. Maybe we should hire an attitude and not skills and all this fucking influence and nonsense that you see. Go and start a business and try and do that through information and memes and shit that you read on LinkedIn. See how well it goes for you. I guarantee the economy will punch you square in the face and you'll be out and you'll be back in work in 6-9 months' time going, yeah, fair enough, maybe I got it wrong there. But they won't do it because it's easier to shout and never actually commit to doing it.
It is. I mean, everything you said there was perfect. I mean, it's brutally hard running the business. Even when you've got stuff figured out, you've systemized this and that, you've got a good pipeline, you've got regular clients, shit just happens that you cannot possibly predict. And did you ever read the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill?
Yeah, one of my favourite ones.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first ones I ever read when I kind of realised, you know what? I need to make money because whether you like it or not, you need fucking money to keep your head above water, to have any fun, do anything meaningful, and even just, do what you do better if you believe in your work in order to bring it to life. You need resources. You need it. And I can't remember exactly how to word it. So it's been a long time since I listened to Audiobook Guy.
Yeah.
There's like a sort of secret pattern between all the lessons, and I can't remember if they mention it or not, but it's like, see if you can figure out what the common theme is. And I think it is resilience. It's don't stop.
Yeah.
Just, you're going to be eating shit sandwiches all day, every day.
Yeah.
You're going to wake up and be like, well, this is insurmountable.
Yeah.
Well, I best get to work right now then.
Yeah.
I think that is the message.
Yeah. When you're starting out, I think naivety is a blessing. If you go too far one way, I think personally, you should be your own biggest fan and you should be your own biggest critic, but you can't tip too far either way because then nobody will fucking like you. And then also you won't get anything done because you're just trapped in a ball of anxiety. But I think you need to be able to do that. A lot of success is literally doing the boring foundational fundamentals day in, day out for longer than anybody else. That's it. This is why I'm always amazed that people in this day and age still fucking are suckers for this 7-step and this hack and one quick way and shortcut and stuff like that. There isn't. Just do the boring shit for 5 years and I guarantee you'll get there.
Well, you hear people talk about how many touch points is it till you make a sale? It's like, that don't fucking exist. Who believes that? I've met people, one time we've literally had emails before like, oh, I need this song mixing or need a podcast shooting. And it's like, cool. It's this much. What date? Oh, that done.
Yeah.
Don't even meet them until they rock up. But I've had some occasions where it's taken a year to land a job. So that was about fucking 500 touch points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. There's no rule.
Yeah. Well, that's inbound, isn't it? And that's why it's great, but it's also so dangerous because we have people come and say, oh, saw you post yesterday. And then someone say, I've been following you for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And it's nice because it's not expected, but once you do those initial hard yards, that will then pay off in dividends over time. So that can, not post for a month or something like that, and it'll still be ticking over. We'll still get leads through the website. We'll still get leads through LinkedIn and stuff. So it is delayed gratification. And I think society now is instant gratification. And the superpower is consistency. And you know what? People whinge about, oh, well, it's privilege and stuff like this. And I understand, privilege and luck. They are real things, but consistency is free. It's available to everyone, no matter who you are. Keep fucking doing it. Like, you can't say only rich people can be consistent. No. It's just not a fact. So use the things that you can do and stop whinging about the things that you can't change and just take action. I think when you say that to people, woe is me, but what about this? And all right, cool. You're never going to make it because that's your attitude.
Yeah, you enjoy that one, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And eventually you'll hit a stage after 10 years and you go, yeah, maybe I should have done something about that rather than just whinged. But people don't like to hear that anymore, and you should be cancelled and do better. And won't somebody please think of the children? I can't be arsed with people like that, honestly. It just drains.
And luckily I don't actually really hang out with any of them like that.
Yeah.
Don't need to. But, you're talking about everything's inbound now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about lead generation. Like I said before we started shooting, I believe there's two major parts to running the business. Mm-hmm. There's the work you do, the service you provide, or the product you sell.
Yeah.
And when most people start a business, that's all they think about. Cool, let's do this really well and people will just know.
Yeah.
And then you later learn out, actually, that's half, if not less, of actually running a business.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you discover, all right, fucking lead generation, that's the thing. All right, our business development as a maybe deeper term. Tell us about this. How do you approach about? How do you think about it even?
Yeah, I think with lead generation, the first step to anything in marketing is having a deep knowledge of your target market. Who are they? Where do they live? Where do they spend their time? What platforms are they on? What language do they use? What pain points are they suffering ultimately? Because I made the mistake at the start of going, you face-to-face standard networking. And I was like, it's lovely and you have a brew and you have a sausage butty, but then you quickly realise you've been going now for 6 months, sitting around a table with the same 10 people listening to a 60-second pitch, and none of these fucking people are your ideal client. None of them have got any money, and a lot of them are just lonely and want to come out for a brew and have some friends. And I was like, I can't, there's nothing here for me. Like, if we want to work with 7- and 8-figure e-commerce brands, they're not going to be at a cricket club at 6 a.m. In Bolton. They're just not. So I was like, right, online is the place here, because I can basically network but send it out to thousands of people. And then starting writing online, the biggest mistake people do is they jump straight to the mid and the bottom of the funnel. They go, I'm amazing, come and work with me. I don't know who you are. I don't care about you as a person. Nobody cares about what you do until they care about you as a person first. The thing that people neglect all the time is that top funnel work. The top funnel work is what most people should do, focused around universally relatable topics. So it could be, parenting, it could be politics, it could be education, it could be business, bad bosses, whatever it may be. You need to get lots of different eyeballs on you from every single different sector. Because then when you pull that net back in and you start disqualifying, they don't have to be an ideal client, but Barry over here as an accountant might just feel a real affinity to you because you like the same kind of music. And then when someone wants a podcast producing or they want some ads, I then get tagged in it. And I'm not just trapped in a bubble of talking to my peers about ROI and CPA, because Dave over here doesn't really fucking understand what that is. What he understands is I want to put in £1 and get out 10.
Yeah.
So speak in their language. And if you find people just trying to impress their peers and things like that and speaking to their peers, break that, go top funnel, and then as you pull it back in, disqualify as hard as you can. So we try and do that by fucking stupid question that someone asked or came to us for XYZ and had £100 budget. And that is purely to repel people, because that's just as important. There's no point anyone can fill a calendar with leads. I could fill it if I say, free marketing calls or whatever, I get 100 leads, but who's actually going to turn into a valuable client? So it's understanding that entire part of the funnel and then analysing which stages people are falling out from. If they're not getting down there at the bottom funnel, what are you doing? Are you attracting the right people? Are you attracting the wrong people at the top? Are you attracting the right ones, but you can't get them off into a newsletter or, onto the site or into a lead funnel or lead form or something like that. So yeah, understanding the journey is really important, I think, before you start anything.
And in terms of tangible processes, where do you even start? Particularly with what you do. Yeah,
I would say start at the end and work backwards, because particularly with social media and inbound, you don't own that data. You're on borrowed land, right? Yeah. So it's all good having all these views and all these things like that. If they shut down tomorrow, you've got fuck all. So the first step is basically figure out a way to get them off the social media platforms and into first party data that you hold, whether that's a mailing list, whether that's into Calendly where you get their email, whether they're downloading a lead magnet for you and you get their email so that you can hit them or call them with email, SMS, something that's free. And similarly with websites as well, you can spend all your money on advertising, right? And people I want to spend 20 grand on advertising. Then you go to the site and I go, that's fucking terrible. It takes 15 seconds to load. No one can find the buttons. Half of the stuff doesn't work. Half the images aren't loading. And you're like, why would you spend all this money over here? It's basically like, pouring champagne into a bucket with a big hole in the bottom. Fix the bucket first, then buy the champagne and pour the champagne in. So I think always start at the end and work backwards rather than just trying to amplify and hope it evens itself out all the way down there. And that's what we say to people a lot of the time. You're nowhere near ready for advertising yet because you haven't got a destination, you haven't got a clear funnel, you haven't got a bank of data, and you don't have a content bank to understand where, who we're actually going to be targeting here. If you're coming to me saying, our target market's men between 25 and 45, you don't know your target market, because that's not your target market, I promise you.
So Do you think that's relevant to every single company? So I'm going to give you an example here. My dad used to have a construction company and they would turn over millions a year. I think they maybe had a website, but it was more of a formality. Do you think this applies broadly to every kind of company, or is there a specific kind of company you would work with, you would not work with?
Well, it depends on, because generations are changing. Do you know what I mean? So we have a client who does like steel buildings, massive average order value. You know what I mean? It could be like 50 grand to 500.
So you think it's becoming where you do need these things?
Well, this is the thing now. The generation that was a handshake and a mate of a mate and, you know, a face to face, let's be honest, they're either going to be dead or retired in the next 10, 15 years. And if you haven't, you know, the people that are going to be in the power then, you know, they're digital native. They are used to going to Google for answers. They are used to scrolling on social media, making decisions or doing due diligence by looking at reviews or Instagram or whatever it is. So I think it's a smart move to do both. Keep doing what's been working, but also don't have all your eggs in that basket. Make sure that this is being done as well, because eventually this will stop, and we do see this happen by industry. You know, they go, "It'll always be like this." Finance is the same. Like, you know, with banks and stuff like that, they were like, no one will ever come up. And then Monzo and Starling and everyone came and they went, "Oh shit, maybe we should start speaking like humans." So it's try and get the first mover advantage, hedge your bets, keep doing what's working for as long as possible. When it stops, you've got something there, because people, particularly bigger companies, are so slow to move. By the time you got round to it, 6 people have popped up and taken the market share already, and you're playing catch up, and you're going to have to spend more.
So plain and simple, keep with the times.
Yeah, follow the money first and foremost. If it's working, keep doing it, but always be split testing and always be basically nurturing the people who are going to buy in 2 to 5 years' time, and understand what that money is for, that you're allocating it to, and that you're not going to see an instant return from it, that this is actual pipeline building. So it's about planning that and being confident enough with, I suppose, your financial planning capabilities and forecasting to what are we applying to what we need now, and what are we applying to what we need in, you know, next year. When
it comes to finding leads, obviously everyone that runs a business, they want money. Yeah. Like, oh, you can make a tenner. Well, I want to make £1 million. So you might get clients coming to you like, I want these clients, you know, I want clients that are going to pay me millions or, you know, hundreds of thousands, whatever. Do you find there's any real difference between finding smaller value clients versus bigger value clients? Because if not, well, everyone would go for the big dogs, right?
I mean, finding the clients is one thing, but first and foremost, like when we say to people like, okay, your ideal client is this, you're telling me this, like 80% of the time, who they think is their ideal client is not. The first question I ask is, has anybody fucking bought this from you before? Has anybody actually bought this? Because you might have an idea in your head that your client is a Russian oligarch, blah, blah, blah. And then you might actually find it's these people over here that you've completely disregarded. So first party data is first and foremost where I'd look for who my ideal client is before I started going and reaching out and saying it's these people. Ultimately, it does depend on what you're selling, because people can make an impulse decision. If I'm trying to sell you a £10 hat versus, you know, a 500 grand building, I'm probably going to want to develop a large relationship. I'm probably going to want to speak to a human. We do see that quite often, you know, as well. Up to a certain point, people will just go and buy online. You know, if it's a SaaS software for £29 a month, no problem. If I'm getting an enterprise level one for 10 grand, bitch, believe I want to speak to a human and I want you to tell me why I should pay you this. And it's understanding what it is that you sell and what the mindset of that person is going to be. Because sometimes you're dealing with, you know, the CFO. Sometimes you're dealing with the MD. Sometimes you're dealing with a manager. They're all very different pain points. CFO is just looking at bottom line, whereas a manager just wants to look good to their CFO or CEO. So understanding those pain points of the person you're speaking to can help you tailor your content in a way where they go, these are the guys that elevate me. What is their one thing? Do they want to be, you know, happier, wealthier, slimmer, faster, whatever else it is? If you understand their pain point, you then tailor your spiel to that.
Do you know, it never crossed my mind that you said there, you'll ask people, have you ever sold this before? It didn't cross my mind that people would come to someone like yourself and like, right, then again, I suppose now I think about it, people could just be developing an idea and they're like, right, so I think I know what I'm doing. I'm going to need some marketing. They might have come from a background where that's, you know, the kind of mimicking a sort of system from a company they used to work with. Yeah. Do you ever find yourself having to like go back to basics and be like, we can't really sell this? Or, you know, so you either have to change your ICP or you have to change what you're selling because no one's going to want that.
Well, we have the honest conversation with people and they say, I've got this thing and it's, well, have you launched it yet? And it's, well, no, but it's a great idea and we're going to do this and we're going to be the Uber of X, Y, Z. Right. Has anyone bought this yet? Like, that's the first thing. first and foremost, because they think ads are like a magic button where, all right, well, I launched it and nobody wanted it, but if I put ads behind it, surely someone will want it. No, if no one wants it on a fucking small level around your closest network of supporters in the industry that you are in, nobody's going to want it on a larger level where there is no emotional connection with you or the business. I promise you that. So go away, do whatever you need to do as far as product development, lowering the cost of goods, whatever it may be. Once you've sold a few, speak to the people who bought it and go, why did you choose it? Why did you almost not choose us? What were the things you look for? Stop guessing, speak to your customers, right? And they'll tell you exactly why and how they found you and how long it took. And then you can go out and you can forecast, get a bit of a bank of data. And once you're ready and you're confident that, right, for every 10 people that come to our site, 3 will turn into a demo and 1 will turn into a client. Okay, now we've got something that we can work with advertising. Because again, ads just make you fail faster. It's like, oh, well, more people just need to see it. Okay, cool. And then you go on, and we need to do LinkedIn, we need to target CEOs. Okay, well, you need a 20 grand a month budget. Okay, great. 3 months later, you're 60 grand down the pan. 100,000 people have seen it and no fucker wants it. Like, people won't have that conversation, and a lot of agencies will just take the money and go, yeah, we'll deal with that later on. I want to protect our reputation. So I would rather go, no, go away, do this, prove concept. We can't help you unless you've got product market fit. We're just amplifiers. We're not business savers. Like, unless you've got very, very deep pockets to prove product market fit, and like you're a funded business or whatever, and you've got a runway and a burn rate, you shouldn't be anywhere near ads unless you've got a really established product market fit.
That makes perfect sense. Do you know, it's funny you say that, like, ask your clients. I've heard people talk about that, like, just ask them. But I feel like it's become white noise to people. People don't listen to that. And I did that myself a long time ago. But so with podcasts now, it's obviously what we do. The tangible thing we sell is we'll record your podcasts. Yeah. Record them, edit them, mix them, master them. Do what you want. And we'll do that for anyone. And, sometimes it's just personalities or whatever. But a few of our clients, I did start to be like, well, what are you using it for? And one was like, I use it for networking. And I was like, go on. And then I was like, well, what's that about? It's like, well, they're a film production company in Texas. Yeah. The host happens to live in York. Oh. And they've started a podcast. It's called Factual America. And they interview directors of documentaries. Yeah. And they all want to talk about what they're doing when they're doing the press junkets. They're all through Zoom because these directors can be anywhere, but it's everything you see on Netflix, Disney Plus. It's all big stuff. And from that point, he said it's never a cold call again. He's like, I've spoken to these guys, and it opens up so many doors, and he makes a ton of money off it. So I was like, that's amazing. And then that's how I kind of pitch it to people now. And not to mention the fact that it is content. You bring guests on, they're happy to share these clips because they look good in them. They're spitting golden bombs of truth, awesome stuff like that. And they share it, and that's scaling your face-to-face marketing, leveraging your guests' audience and network. So that makes it an easy sell as opposed to, do you want a podcast? Yeah. Because some people come along like, I've heard I should be doing them, but I don't know why. Like, apparently they're good. Like, well, this is what my clients have told me they're using it for, and apparently it's working.
Yeah, this is a big difference. And I think when starting out, like, I did this. I made this mistake as well of trying to be all things to all people and being a therapist for people. So it's like, where I've come from, I want to help out SMEs and stuff like that. But then SME is a big thing. It can be anyone from like 2 to 250 people or whatever. And it's so hard sometimes we're having like week-long conversations convincing people that paid ads work. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And the sooner I just went, no, we work with people that are ready, that understand, have a basic, grasp of unit economics, have a product market fit, and stop trying to be therapists and just started being service providers. The quality of the people that we were working with just shot up completely. So now if people are like, oh, can you convince me that it worked? No, I'm not. I'm not in that game. I'm not your dad. I'm not your therapist. Like, if you don't think it works, why did you ring? You called me, right? And then went, convince me. No. Like, there are people waiting here to work with us, so we're not going to sit and blag it like that. If you're not ready to work with us yet, or you don't believe in ads, cool. You go off, do your own thing, and when you are ready, we can help you. But I'll stay where we are now and just say, look, we're here to provide a service. We're very good at providing that service. We've got all the data to show that we're very good at providing that service. I'm not going to sit and bend over backwards and jump through fucking hoops for you and start haggling and having these conversations about if and when it works. Of course it fucking works. It's one of the biggest industries in the world. If you don't believe it works, that's a you problem. Yeah. Enjoy your career. It's not going to be a long one.
Well, do you know what? We'll move on to operations now. You've touched on a few things. Let's say you've got an inquiry. Yeah. You've landed the project, whatever it is, deal signed, and people start working with you. Give us an overview of how it would look, if someone's like signed on with you. How does it work?
Yeah, so once people have signed on, depending on what like the package is, whether it's paid advertising or organic social.
And is that what you do? Is it specifically packages that you do?
Yeah, so there's different kind of services. So there's organic social media as far as like, your day-to-day posting, community engagement on company pages, and then the paid advertising side, which is the amplification of it, and using like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, things like that. So if that comes in, that'll have gone and been briefed to either the social account manager or the paid social or the paid search manager to come in and say, right, here's the client, here's the brief, here's the competitors, here's the budget, etc., etc., etc. If we need creative, that's usually the first step. So for like Google ads, sometimes you don't really need that much. You have a few for PMAX, but ultimately, if it's paid social, and let's say you're spending 30 grand a month, well, have you got any ads for that? And people go, no, I've got a logo that I've got in Microsoft Word. And I go, all right, sweet. Let's not start ads yet. Let's make some creative because we need it, because that's a lot of money, and you can't just have it on one ad because. Is that the best ad in the world? Is it the worst ad in the world? You don't know.
The data will tell me.
Because you're not testing anything. So you just go, oh, this is good. So for us, the creative strategy, it's pretty much the biggest driver that we can play with, kind of pre-click, because our job ultimately is to put the content in front of the right people, find them based on what their intent level is, and get them off and onto the client's site. Once they're on there, there's not much more we can do. Obviously, we can advise the client on improving the UX and the conversion rate and things like that, and tell them, look at all the data and spot the gaps and say, look, they're all adding to the cart, but no one's getting to checkout. Can we tighten this up? Or they're all adding to checkout.
Add a back end or something, yeah.
We can. That's the beauty of what we do, is the data will always show you, right, this is where the big gaping hole is, so let's address that. So yeah, that's the first step. While we're doing the creative strategy and building out the content bank, we'll be looking at the data and we'll give them some tips on basically how to just tighten up the conversion rate.
Is that more like informal to complement your actual service?
Yeah, to be honest with you, we do it as part and parcel of the package. I know some people charge like thousands on top for it, and that's great, but ultimately I do it because it makes us look better, because our work, it pisses me off if we can create amazing ads and get you a 10% click-through rate of people that are looking for your stuff, and then your website's a bag of shit. That makes me angry because it makes our results look bad. And when we know we're sending really high quality traffic. So the more that we can control, the better. Yeah. I know that sounds very kind of like narcissistic, but
no, mate. It's like I was telling you earlier. We tell people, you can use podcasts for this, outreach, this, that. That's not what we sell. That's just us letting people know how you can use what we do actually sell. Yeah. Which is, it's not complex. What we do doesn't make you money unless you use it in one of these ways. You know, but that's not, we're not selling a secret or anything.
No,
just tell people that.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, I think you might have answered it there, but do you follow your service through to like revenue in terms of like tracking, what's working or not? So you might find like, oh, holy shit, 3 times as many people are, going through this ad and adding to cart, but there's not many people doing this, but there's more revenue at the bottom line. Like, where does it end in terms of tracking?
Yeah, ultimately. So with organic social, revenue is not really the biggest driver because it's more of a mid-funnel, community building thing. So there's different things like page saves and shares and things like that, and comments of actually, building an actual community. But with paid, everything's about revenue. Do you know what I mean? And then you start at the end and work backwards again from there, because, something might have a really high cost per click. And if you go, oh my God, should we be paying for those clicks? Well, yeah, because it's driving revenue. So regardless of what the click is at the front end, it's turning into money. Whereas you could be going, oh, well, this campaign's got 10p cost per click. Yeah, but no one's converting, so it's low quality. So it doesn't matter about the volume. So because of our split's kind of like probably 70% e-commerce brands, that's a piece of piss. This many click, this many added to cart, this many went to checkout, this many purchased, this is how much, here's the average order value. You can spot and plug everything.
Do you ever think about things like lifetime value of a customer as well?
Yes. First thing we ask people all the time is about their unit economics. You would be shocked how many people don't know what unit economics are in an e-commerce business.
Go on.
It's basically understanding the cost of goods and the margins and where you need to be at a break even to basically have first order profitability on your products or whatever it is that you're selling. So we're like, cool, what are your margins? Because your margins for this product are going to be different to this one. So we should allocate, we can allocate more to this because you have got a better margin. And they just look at you like you're speaking Mandarin. And I'm like, you do know your margins, don't you? Because for us, it's why Black Friday, for instance, there's a lot of brands that run like loss leader campaigns in there purely because they know the lifetime value and that people will buy 5 or 6 times over the course of the year, and that's where they'll make the money. So they'll come in and, happily, break even or even lose money on that, knowing full well that once I've got that data, it cost me 20 quid, they spent a tenner, but I'm going to email them and it's going to cost me the square root of fucking nothing over the next 90 days and I'll make 100 quid. And suddenly you're at a 5x. So brands that understand that, it's tough to do when you're in kind of new business, because to work out lifetime value, you need a lifetime.
Yeah.
So if you're looking back and they've been going for 10 years or whatever, you could look at, the last 1 year, last 3 years lifetime value. That's great. If you've been going for 2 years, year one could have been an anomaly. A pandemic could have happened. Something could have massively skewed the economy. There could have been an election. There's things that, it's tough to go off. So I would say for newer businesses, don't worry about it too much yet. You can have a plan, but then plans very rarely come to fruition. What I would try and focus on, if you can get it, is first order profitability on the first one, or as close to it as possible, because then anything after that is gravy. And I think that's really important as well. Any knob can sell something once, but our job is to acquire new customers. If we then pass them through to you and you're not emailing them, upselling them, cross-selling them through email and SMS, you're going to find it very, very, very difficult, because you're going to be constantly beholden to people like us and Meta and Google constantly paying for new people. Much easier to get more value out of someone that already knows and trusts you and has your product.
It's the easiest sell is someone who's already bought from you.
Always, yeah. And people are just really struggling with that recently.
Do you know, you are the only person I've ever heard use the term lost leader. I use that term too. Yeah. Why does no one use that? I mean, it's such an obvious thing to me. Like, you have to do free things sometimes. People are, again, that kind of goes into the sort of victim mentality thing. Like, you see things like, oh, pay for artists, this, that. It's like, yeah, true. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But if, what if you have to do things like, give people a free this or that, whatever, to get them in, knowing very well, we do free tests for our services. Sometimes you never hear from them again. It's like, oh, shit, well, whatever. Sometimes we do them and they'll pay us 25 grand over that year and they'll be here for 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, shit, that was worth doing.
But you look at the average of them all and go, was that worth it across the average? Because I remember obviously starting out, I was, I'm just another guy doing marketing. Do you know what I mean? On my own, knocking like, hello, would you like some ads or whatever? And it's a case of how you frame that rather than, oh, I'll come in and do it for free. What I personally did was, look, my usual rate is X, but I know you're taking a risk on me because you don't really know me. So what I'm going to do is I'll do it for Y up until a certain period of time. And if I hit threshold and target of Z, then we move to my normal rate. Would that work for you? And everyone was like, absolutely. It's great.
Take the risk out.
Take the risk out. We share the risk. They're getting a cheaper work. They also know that I'm incentivized to hit those targets if I want to be paid that. And if I do hit that, their extra that they're paying me is relative to the extra money I've made them. So that it's basically framing that offer in such a way of everyone wins. Yeah. And I think people just starting out can do that. Because you do get sometimes people will work for free and then sometimes people will get the piss taken out of them and it will kind of just squeeze all the joy out of it.
Oh, it's knowing your boundaries.
Yeah.
Firmly.
Yeah. If you can and you are secure enough to work for free, then, take the privilege that you have and use it to try and get a foothold, because the key thing for people is building those case studies and that portfolio, isn't it? Once you've got one or two of them, you can up your prices and then people can see it, and then you up your prices again and you get more in and then people see it, and before you know it, you're actually earning what you think you should be earning rather than...
Well, that's it. It's exactly like you said. It's not a piss take. It's a lost leader doing this for free with a very tactical plan.
Yeah.
And knowing when to call it quits with someone, like, right, you don't get any more freebies or whatever. I tell you what, last thing I want to talk about is just the emotional highs and lows, or psychological highs and lows of running a business. Because as you mentioned earlier, no fucker's got it all figured out. No one knows exactly what they're doing. And sometimes me and Sam are like, oh my God, sick, what are we going to do with all this money? And sometimes like, fuck, we've got no money.
And
then it's like,
comes in.
Then exactly. Always at the exact same time. That's just how it is. And it's like, right, dealing with that. And it goes back to resilience as well.
Yeah.
Can you give us, I mean, I saw you posted the other day, you were able to take your mum out of working and get retired. That must be unimaginable.
Yeah.
That's something that money can buy technically.
Yeah. And I think, that just came from, just being smart and being like financially literate, which I think is a really key thing about, knowing what to take and how to be tax efficient and then how to invest it over time. That was a really nice thing to do. But at the start, you're going to be chronically over-servicing and undercharging. Accept it. We all have to build that reputation. And that's kind of a painful part of knowing that you're probably not going to get paid. And then the second that you have a little bit of a buffer in the bank, you go, right, now I've got a chance to actually hire someone for all the shit that I don't like doing or that I'm not very good at. Take that chance straight away, hire as soon as possible. because that's what keeps your drive going, doing more of the stuff that you are good at. The bigger you get, I can honestly tell you, I've been doing like less and less of the stuff that I enjoy. So I now always try and keep a toe in and go, right, I'm going to run these campaigns over here, or I'm going to write this website copy or whatever it may be, because number one, it changes so fast. And if I look away, I look back, I won't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Does that help keep a pulse on what,
Yes.
what your staff are doing and whatnot?
Well, exactly. You can't ask someone, you don't know what good looks like unless you're actually doing it. So I think doing what you're good at is really, really important. You know, it sounds very pessimistic, but yeah, don't follow your passion. Do what you're fucking good at until you've got enough money and freedom and security to then bring your passion into it and build it like that. But you know, TikTok doesn't tell you that. TikTok tells you that follow your passion, hun, and you'll be on 80 grand a year from year one and working from Bali. It's not real, but people need to hit that financial pain for themselves, I would say. But yeah, delayed gratification for me is key. I don't think in the case of where am I going to be next year, I think, right, in 5 years, where do I want the business to be? And then you take micro steps from there. Make a big swing and then just micro steps from there. 'Cause if I start thinking what's going to happen in 6 months, you fucking drive yourself mental.
Mate, we'll leave it there. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. Again, if you think you'd be a good guest on the show, then please drop me an email at joe@innersound.media. See you in the next episode.